Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video, as the thumbnail and the title implies, I'm going to be teaching you how I draw torsos and bodies and limbs and people in general. So one thing I'd like to preface is that I will try to explain to you how I also taught myself and how you can teach yourself to teach yourself how to draw. Because it's all just essentially muscle memory. You need to, tracing is another way. You can find an image, trace over it, and then do that 100 billion times, and you'll understand the shapes and forms and ways your hands need to move in order to replicate that similar shape. Smaller things are going to be a lot more nuanced, obviously. I've brought in some examples here that I'll kind of give a rough overlay of. If we look at this man over here, this very well photographed man, he's not a flat picture. You can clearly tell, obviously he's going to have some dimension to him, a 3D physical space. It's not imperative that you understand he's in a 3D space, but it'll help you gain perspective, pun intended. So I'm going to draw a box over here because we need to simplify it first, and then we can further delve into it. He's kind of making a box shape here, and you'll notice I put in a circle to kind of represent his shoulder. This will give us some a better look at where his weight is being shifted and how it's being how his shoulders kind of affect the whole pose as well, because shoulders are a very crucial part of it for dynamic poses and poses in general. Even we got the whole trigonometry class in one photo here. And look at his face. Now, faces are complex because they have smaller details, and those smaller details affect the whole photo a lot. And so what I want you guys to understand is literally just to break them down, and then from that you can further your understanding of how they're gonna look. So I would suggest you trace over images that you want to gain the knowledge from. So images of characters maybe running, or characters jumping, or characters fighting in perspective. You need to understand principles of those shapes and the principles of this kind of, because each pose and each way of drawing is going to have its own sort of standards that you need to adhere to. With this, if I just kind of take him out of the equation, you can already see his body kind of slowly forming there. Obviously his hair maybe was a bit unnecessary, but you get the picture. You need to understand that cylinders don't look like this, because now which way is this from? What are you looking at here? Cylinders have a kind of standard look to them. This is what one looks like from one angle. This is what it looks like from the top, probably a little bit of a bend maybe. And then obviously from a weird downward perspective, it's gonna look like this. Maybe even a little, thingy over there. You understand what I'm trying to say here. You need to find out what cylinders and squares and cubes look like from different perspectives, and with that kind of in the back of your brain, it'll really help you to understand that, hey, torsos are just boxes. Now, one thing you also have to preface is that they are boxes, but they're gonna look different from different angles, and that's something you need to keep in mind. And I feel from this conversation already you understand that principle. Now what? So let's say you don't have you must have a reference. So what I'm gonna teach you right now, you need to always, this is my number one tip, always use a reference. Always use a reference. I don't care if you spend 5 minutes drawing or 3 hours drawing. Please always use a reference. If you want to learn, always use a reference, because if you have something to gain knowledge from, to gain new muscle memory and information from, that'll help you further your art skills, even if it's by a 0.5 percentage. Because you can't learn unless you have something to learn from. A book. How are you gonna know how science works if you're doing an experiment and you don't have the proper textbook for it? Your textbook will be this image over here. So I'm gonna try and replicate this. Already he's been broken down for us. When I start drawing, I usually start with the head, and from there I map out the shoulders, and I map out what angle it's from. So we can see that over here, his back, his trapezius, his muscles. So if we draw someone from the back like this, if we draw someone from the back, it almost looks exactly like how they would look from the front. This little man here. There's this thing called the trapezius muscle, and it kind of falls over your shoulder, your delts, and I forgot the name for it, but these muscles over here, and your lats. This kind of folds over them, and you know, listen, it helps to know where the muscle fiber is, the direction they're going at. They kind of make like a little like stretching outward motion here, and then your ears like that. Like this is how it's gonna look. That's how it looks if you're muscular. Different builds and genders are gonna have different looks and ways that they're gonna show themselves. So what I would suggest is to getting to know those, or getting to know something that you're comfortable with and furthering from there on. So we can use we can clearly see his trapezius here is in a view, very slight view, and from that we can deduce that he is facing down, obviously, and that his back muscles are going to be shown. If I want to edit this pose further, if I want to modify this pose, I have a clear idea that his trapezius is showing a little bit, and maybe even some of his back muscles, where his lats are going to be visible if we want to edit the pose to make it more muscular. And for hands, I usually just do squares. So I don't know if I want to do a full hand tutorial, but this is how I do my hands. A little box, and think of this as like a drumstick. So like a drumstick kind of, because that's what your thumb is similar to. Also, I just know the shape off by heart. And what I would suggest you do, listen, these like line fingers will help you understand how thin and how almost like fragile your fingers look. But think of them more as like potato fries, or like chips, like slap chips. And one thing that I like to do is I like to connect these two because it looks nice. But also, a lot of people, when they do that, their hands don't really look like that. This is just a stylistic choice. But that's kind of how I draw hands, literally just a box, because from there you can get really into with like perspective and stuff, and your fingers are essentially just like sausages or hot dogs, so they're gonna have that cylinder in perspective kind of shape. So like here's some nails. Even that doesn't look bad because there's some perspective, there's some, you know, there's nuance to it. You're looking for nuance when it comes to things like the body. So as I'm drawing this, I realize that there is a lot of perspective going on with joints and stuff. Listen, there's a lot of other things I could touch up on in this video, but I'm just telling you the things I know to the best of my knowledge. These are things that I incorporate when I sketch, when I draw, when I paint. And this is just information I've picked up. I am in no way a professional. I've been drawing for some time, as I've said, like 5 years now. And those of you who will have seen my old art on my Instagram will know of my art journey. And it's really something you have to be patient with, because art in itself is an expression of your soul. And if you don't have the proper tools to express your soul with, it's going to be frustrating because it's going to come out looking not how you expected. And so please give yourself grace. It is really, try and have fun with it. Like if it looks bad, you know what? Who cares? Who cares? At least you're trying to do something that takes effort, and that already is an amazing. That already is art. It's beautiful already in its own sense. You can already see that I have an understanding of the shapes. Very lanky character we have here, so obviously his limbs and his thighs and his muscles are going to be a lot more rectangular and sharper than someone who is very buff. Because if I draw a hand with massive pythons and he's got these super awesome V triceps, you know, the minute he's gonna try and hit a pose, everything's kind of gonna, like, you know, scrunch up and, like, you know, bulge into itself. But lankier characters, when they try and hit a pose, you know, it's gonna be a lot less it's gonna be a lot more nuanced. It's going to be a lot more even this would be considered muscular or ripped, but you can already see that there's a lot more sharpness to it. It's not as round and strong looking. I don't know, it's pretty strong looking, I don't know. Every body type is going to have its own kind of downsides and upsides, and also different races and genetics are going to affect the musculature differently. So take from this is, what I want you to do is to break down your pose into simple shapes that you can understand and use, and that you know how they look and you're very well aware of. Use that and just sketch as much as you can, because even if you fail, even if you do not know what you're doing, even if the method you chose that I told you to choose, you don't really know that well, keep going, because what this is going to help you with is learn the 3D space and how 3D space will affect the shape of the body, and different parts of the body will be affected differently, because you can't say, you know, this cylinder piece over here looks exactly the same as his elbows, or even his wrist, for crying out loud. Like, you know what I mean. So what I want you to take away from this is to have fun, please, because art is a play. My art teacher told me this: art is a play, and you're meant to be childlike and childish when you're doing so. That's when it becomes impressive that you can create something so amazing out of it, because art in itself has no rules. But if you try and adhere to a sort of a discipline in this art with no rules, you will find yourself creating something amazing. Now I'm getting a bit too deep and a bit too, like, you know, into the topic itself, but you know what I mean. Go and draw, go and trace, and also post your art, because you're gonna want to see what it looks like in 5 years. If you start now, you're already the next Picasso. You are already the next Da Vinci, whatever. Because if you continue the way you do with consistency, you will be amazing in years to come. Even in a month, you'll see improvement. It's really all about, it's a habit thing. It's a habitual thing, and I want you to have fun with it, and I want you to keep going, because there is nothing more rewarding than drawing something you never thought you could have drawn. You wake up one day, you walk to your sketchbook, and all of a sudden you see, like, wow, I just drew something I dreamt of dreaming when I was little. Truly, it's all about getting to know the shapes, and all about muscle memory. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this did help you. Just wondering if you guys like me talking about art and similar content related to it. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.